In a significant shift in transatlantic relations, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio's recent absence from key diplomatic engagements has sparked anxiety among European Union officials. His no-show at a meeting called by top EU diplomat Kaja Kallas, where she sought to establish a cooperative dialogue, has raised concerns about the future of U.S. EU relations under a Trump administration which has already exhibited tendencies toward a more isolationist and unilateral approach. Kallas publicly extended an invitation to Rubio to attend the regular gathering of EU foreign ministers, emphasizing the importance of discussing U.S. views on pressing issues, including the controversial proposal to take over Greenland, an area home to 55,000 EU citizens. However, Rubio did not attend, nor did he participate virtually, leaving his office to issue a vague statement indicating that there were no travel plans to announce at this time. This silence has not gone unnoticed in Brussels, where diplomats fear that the Trump administration may be employing a divide-and-conquer strategy to weaken the EU by sidelining its institutions in favor of bilateral dealings with member states. The implications of this strategy could be profound, as it risks eroding the unity that has characterized EU-US relations since President Joe Biden's tenure. The previous administration had prioritized close cooperation with the EU, particularly in areas like sanctions against Russia and vaccine procurement. However, Rubio's actions, or lack thereof, signal a departure from this collaborative stance. As one EU diplomat remarked, "From what we can see, they want to deal with us bilaterally," suggesting a fundamental shift in how the US intends to engage with Europe. The situation is exacerbated by the recent tensions surrounding Greenland, where President Trump has threatened sanctions against NATO ally Denmark unless it complies with U.S. demands regarding the territory. This approach has left European leaders, including Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen, in a precarious position, feeling compelled to temper their responses to avoid escalating the conflict. EU officials worry that this could lead to a fragmentation of their collective bargaining power, particularly in trade negotiations where Brussels typically represents all member states. Despite this backdrop of uncertainty, some European leaders remain optimistic about the potential for dialogue with the new administration. Italian Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani expressed confidence, stating there has been no negative message towards Italy from the Americans. "So I believe that things are absolutely going in the right direction." Irish Trade and Foreign Minister Simon Harris echoed this sentiment, emphasizing the necessity of a strong working relationship between the EU and the US. Looking ahead, the next opportunity for Rubio to engage with EU counterparts will be on February 24, when another foreign ministers' meeting is slated to occur. For the time being, the EU is adopting a cautious but open stance, hoping to navigate the complexities of a U.S. administration that appears intent on redefining its approach to international alliances. As the geopolitical landscape continues to evolve, all eyes will be on whether Rubio's eventual engagement with the EU can remedy the current tensions and set a new course for transatlantic relations, or if the divide will deepen, further complicating international diplomacy in an increasingly multipolar world. In a significant shift in U.S. military leadership, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has taken the helm of the Department of Defense, marking what he describes as the most important deployment of my life. Sworn in on January 18, 2025, Hegseth's confirmation follows a contentious Senate hearing where he outlined ambitious plans to reshape the Pentagon. As the 29th Secretary of Defense, his agenda is marked by a commitment to restore a warrior culture and enhance military readiness through a series of sweeping reforms. Hegseth's appointment comes amid a backdrop of renewed focus on military effectiveness and accountability. When President Trump chose me for this position, the primary charge he gave me was to bring the warrior culture back to the Department of Defense, Hegseth stated during his confirmation. This commitment is reflected in his vision of a military that prioritizes lethality, meritocracy, and rapid innovation, while also addressing what he perceives as bureaucratic inefficiencies. He asserted, "We won World War II with 7 four-star generals. Today we have 44. We need more warfighters empowered at the bottom." The former Army National Guard officer brings a wealth of military experience, having served in Iraq and Afghanistan, and he holds multiple honors for his service. Hailing from Minnesota and a graduate of both Princeton and Harvard, Hegseth is known for his previous roles as a Fox News host and veteran advocate. Now with a family of 7 children, his focus on military families also underscores the personal stakes involved in his new position. On his first day at the Pentagon, Hegseth faced immediate challenges as President Trump signed an executive order revising policies related to transgender troops, potentially setting the stage for a future ban on their service. The directive emphasizes military readiness, where Trump argues that the presence of transgender individuals in the military conflicts with a soldier's commitment to an honorable, truthful, and disciplined lifestyle. This controversial move has already drawn criticism from advocacy groups, with Lambda Legal and the Human Rights Campaign vowing to challenge any discriminatory policies. "We have been here before, and 7 years ago were able to successfully block the earlier administration's effort," stated Lambda Legal attorney Sasha Buchert. Hegseth's agenda also includes reinstating troops expelled for refusing COVID-19 vaccinations and abolishing diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives within the military. Trump's executive order aims to eliminate what it terms un-American theories and practices that promote race-based preferences, which Hegseth supports as a means to enhance military unity and effectiveness. Critics, however, argue that these measures could exacerbate existing divisions and undermine the ethos of a diverse fighting force. Moreover, the Pentagon is poised to explore the development of a space-based missile defense system, a significant strategic initiative aimed at countering threats from potential adversaries like China and Russia. This aligns with Trump's earlier establishment of the U.S. Space Force, reflecting a broader military strategy that incorporates new domains of warfare. The impact of Hegseth's policies is expected to reverberate throughout the military. His approach to diversity and inclusion has raised concerns among military experts and advocates who fear that it could alienate potential recruits and diminish the military's ability to reflect the nation's diverse population. Corey Sheikh, Director of Foreign and Defense Policy Studies at the American Enterprise Institute, cautioned that such actions will hurt recruiting and retention and could significantly alter public perception of military leadership. As Hegseth embarks on this transformative journey, the interplay between his initiatives and the military's operational readiness will be closely scrutinized. The coming months will reveal whether his vision can unify service members and enhance national security, or if it will create further divisions within the ranks. The stakes are high, and the implications of his leadership will likely shape the future landscape of the U.S. military in profound ways. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a controversial figure known for his contentious views on vaccines and public health, is set to undergo a pivotal Senate confirmation hearing as President Donald Trump's nominee for Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services (HHS), scheduled for Wednesday. This hearing is expected to illuminate not only Kennedy's stance on pressing health issues but also the potential implications of his leadership over a vast array of federal health agencies, including the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC) and the Food and Drug Administration (FDA). Kennedy's nomination has sparked significant debate across the political spectrum. Lawrence Gostin, director of the O'Neill Institute for National and Global Health Law at Georgetown University, emphasized the weight of this confirmation, stating, "The HHS secretary has enormous power over domestic health care and directly oversees tens of thousands of scientists, doctors, and nurses. With such authority, Kennedy could influence health policies that affect millions of Americans." One of the most pressing issues surrounding Kennedy's nomination is his long history of anti-vaccine activism, despite his commitment to not take away anybody's vaccines. As he stated in a recent interview, critics are concerned that his approach could undermine decades of progress in childhood immunization. Vaccination rates have already begun to decline, with less than 93% of kindergartners fully vaccinated in the 2023 to 2024 school year, down from 95% in 2019 to 2020. Experts like Dr. Paul Offit have warned about the dangers of this trend, pointing out that parents are increasingly fearful of vaccines largely due to misinformation. Kennedy's influence over vaccine policy is further complicated by his previous leadership role at Children's Health Defense, an anti-vaccine nonprofit he founded. This organization has engaged in numerous legal battles against vaccine authorizations, including challenges to the COVID-19 vaccine for children. As the potential head of HHS, Kennedy would oversee the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, which plays a crucial role in setting vaccination guidelines. This duality of his position could lead to significant changes in public health policy, raising concerns among public health advocates. Beyond vaccines, Kennedy will also be scrutinized for his stance on the Affordable Care Act (ACA) and its implications for health insurance. With HHS overseeing Medicare and Medicaid programs that together provide coverage to over 168 million Americans, his policies could dramatically affect healthcare access and affordability. As Republicans signal interest in allowing subsidies for ACA premiums to expire, the future of health insurance in America hangs in the balance. Analysts are questioning Kennedy's views on these matters, especially since he has offered little insight into his plans regarding Medicaid work requirements or the ACA during the campaign. The ongoing bird flu outbreak adds another layer to Kennedy's anticipated responsibilities. With H5N1 infections rising among livestock and cases reported in humans, experts warn of the potential for a pandemic should the virus mutate to spread easily among people. Kennedy's management of the CDC will be critical in addressing this public health threat. Gostin voiced concern, stating, "To leave it to a vaccine skeptic to lead the response is dangerous." Kennedy's agenda also includes a commitment to food safety, which has garnered some bipartisan support. He has pledged to crack down on harmful additives and dyes in food products. However, the effectiveness of such initiatives will depend on his ability to navigate the complexities of federal regulatory frameworks, particularly when it comes to the 2025 dietary guidelines for Americans. Finally, weight loss drugs have emerged as a contentious issue in Kennedy's nomination. The Biden administration had recently proposed a rule to expand Medicare and Medicaid coverage for these medications, which, if implemented, could significantly impact healthcare costs. Kennedy's previous criticism of popular weight loss drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy has stirred debate over his potential approach to this evolving area of public health policy. As Kennedy prepares for his hearings, the stakes are high. The outcomes will not only define his tenure at HHS but could also reshape the landscape of American public health. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are expected to rigorously question him on these key issues, setting the stage for what may be a contentious confirmation process. As the hearings unfold, the future of health policy under Kennedy's leadership remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: the implications of his confirmation will be felt across the nation for years to come. As the political landscape shifts in the United States, concerns are rising among voting rights groups regarding the potential reorientation of the Justice Department under President Donald Trump's nominee for Attorney General Pam Bondi. Recent discussions have highlighted a possible pivot away from the department's traditional role in safeguarding voting rights, raising alarms about the implications for American democracy. Bondi, a former Florida Attorney General and a longtime ally of Trump, has been scrutinized for her controversial positions, particularly her support for the former president's unfounded claims regarding the 2020 election results. During her confirmation hearing on January 15, she struggled to affirm the legitimacy of Joe Biden's victory, stating only that she accepted the results. This hesitance has led critics, including Senate Judiciary Committee members, to question her commitment to uphold voting rights. The American people deserve an attorney general who will protect their right to vote always, not just when it's convenient, remarked Illinois Senator Dick Durbin, who expressed concern over Bondi's loyalty to Trump rather than to the public. The proposed changes within the Justice Department are framed by the conservative agenda outlined in Project 2025, a blueprint for a Trump-led administration. This document indicates a desire to pursue investigations into alleged voter fraud, despite a lack of evidence substantiating such claims, and to shift the focus from civil rights protections to prosecuting perceived election-related crimes. The authors assert that the department has lost its way, criticizing its historical emphasis on combating voter suppression and advocating for enforcement actions against state laws that could disenfranchise specific groups. Bondi's nomination has sparked a fierce backlash from various civil rights organizations. The Legal Defense Fund condemned her past actions, including legislation that delayed voting rights restoration for individuals with felony convictions. While the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights has denounced her support of Trump's attempts to overturn the 2020 election results as disqualifying. Both organizations feared that her appointment could lead to a significant regression in federal protections for vulnerable communities. As the Senate prepares for a committee vote on Bondi's nomination, her previous assertions of independence come under increased scrutiny. Critics point out that her recent track record raises doubts about her ability to fulfill promises made during her confirmation hearing. Following a purge of senior Justice Department officials, including the reassignment of Brad Weinsheimer, a respected career attorney, many believe that Bondi may face insurmountable challenges in maintaining the department's integrity and its commitment to civil rights enforcement. The ongoing developments signal a potentially tumultuous period for voting rights in the United States. Legal experts predict that the Justice Department's shift in priorities could undermine decades of progress in protecting voters, particularly those from marginalized communities. As Bondi's confirmation looms, the implications of her leadership could reverberate through the electoral landscape, affecting not only how elections are conducted but also the very fabric of American democracy itself. Looking ahead, the coming weeks will reveal whether Bondi will be confirmed and how her tenure might reshape the Justice Department's approach to critical civil rights issues. The stakes are high, and the response from voting rights advocates will likely intensify as they brace for what could be a significant pivot in the enforcement of voting laws and protections in the United States. In a significant political development, the Senate confirmed Scott Bessent as the new U.S. Treasury Secretary, marking a pivotal moment in the Trump administration's economic strategy. The confirmation, which passed with a 68-29 vote, not only underscores the administration's confidence in Bessent's financial acumen but also highlights the ongoing tensions surrounding tax policy and wealth inequality in America. Bessent, a billionaire hedge fund manager and former chief investment officer at Soros Fund Management, is set to play a crucial role in implementing President Trump's tax reforms and economic policies. During his confirmation hearing, Bessent expressed grave concerns about the expiration of over $4 trillion in tax cuts at the end of the year, warning that their lapse would lead to devastating consequences for the economy. His emphasis on fiscal prudence and the necessity of cutting government spending aligns him closely with the administration's broader economic objectives. Despite his qualifications, Bessent faced scrutiny from Democratic senators regarding his handling of self-employment taxes associated with his hedge fund Key Square Group. A memo from Senate Finance Democrats accused him of evading more than $900,000 in taxes, raising questions about his financial practices and the fairness of the tax system. Bessent defended his tax strategies, claiming compliance with current laws, and received support from Senate Republicans who praised his extensive experience and commitment to American economic needs. Senate Majority Leader John Thune remarked he brings a wealth of private sector experience in the economy and markets to his new role, as well as a concern for the needs of working Americans. This sentiment reflects the bipartisan support that Bessent garnered, which is relatively rare in today's polarized political climate. Bessent's confirmation is also notable for its historic implications. At 62, he will become the first openly gay Treasury Secretary and the highest-ranking LGBTQ official in U.S. government history, a milestone that underscores the evolving landscape of representation in federal positions. As Treasury Secretary, Bessent will be tasked with navigating complex financial waters, including managing the U.S. debt and global financial relations, all while pushing forward the administration's aggressive tax policies. The role will demand a delicate balance between fiscal responsibility and political pressures, especially with significant tax cut expirations looming. The confirmation of Scott Bessent as Treasury Secretary signals a defining moment for both the Trump administration and the broader economic landscape. Observers will closely watch how he tackles the impending tax challenges and whether he can bridge the divide created by the criticisms surrounding his past financial dealings. As the administration prepares for an economic landscape marked by both opportunity and uncertainty, Bessent's leadership will be crucial in shaping the fiscal policies that could impact millions of Americans in the years to come. In the arena of U.S. commerce and finance, few figures are as polarizing and influential as Howard Lutnick, the billionaire CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald. As he prepares for his confirmation hearing before the Senate Committee on Commerce, Science and Transportation, Lutnick's extensive financial background and controversial ties to Tether, a leading cryptocurrency stablecoin, are set to dominate discussions. His nomination by former President Donald Trump as the next Commerce Secretary has ignited a flurry of inquiries about his financial dealings, particularly those involving Tether, which has become a significant player in the cryptocurrency landscape. Lutnick, a longtime confidant of Trump, is known for his successful stewardship of Cantor Fitzgerald, a brokerage firm that has managed billions in U.S. Treasury bonds, assets that Tether leverages to support its dollar-pegged stablecoin USDT. Tether's market capitalization has soared to $139 billion, and the relationship between Lutnick's firm and Tether has drawn scrutiny, especially from Democratic lawmakers. Senator Ted Cruz, who chairs the committee, has endorsed Lutnick as a strong choice. However, his colleagues are likely to probe deeper into Lutnick's advocacy for Tether amidst accusations of facilitating illicit transactions. In recent years, concerns have escalated regarding USDT's role in criminal activities. The United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime highlighted that an estimated $17 billion in USDT was tied to illegal transactions and underground crypto exchanges in 2024. Moreover, reports from blockchain intelligence firms have linked USDT to terrorist financing and drug trafficking operations, including the trade of fentanyl, a synthetic opioid that has become the leading cause of death among Americans aged 18 to 45. Senator Elizabeth Warren has been particularly vocal about these issues, underscoring the urgent need for regulatory oversight. In response to these concerns, Tether's CEO Paulo Ardoino has stated that the company is committed to working with law enforcement to mitigate the misuse of its stablecoin. Tether has reportedly frozen approximately 1,800 wallets associated with illicit activities since its inception in 2014. As Lutnick steps into a position that could significantly influence U.S. trade and commerce policies, his commitment to addressing these challenges will likely be a focal point of inquiry during his confirmation process. With Lutnick's extensive portfolio, he has disclosed assets totaling nearly $200 million and plans to divest from various companies, including stakes in Disney and aerospace firm GE. His financial transparency will be scrutinized. He has also pledged to resign from his roles at Cantor Fitzgerald and other firms to eliminate potential conflicts of interest. Yet his connections to Tether and its substantial market influence raise questions about the intersection of finance regulation and policymaking. In addition to his financial dealings, Lutnick's record as an inventor with over 800 patents to his name sets him apart from previous commerce secretaries. His understanding of the patent system could lend a unique perspective to the role, particularly in overseeing the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office (USPTO). However, his controversial history in patent litigation, including a ruling against Cantor for deceptive practices in obtaining patents, complicates his narrative as a reformer in this domain. As Lutnick prepares to answer tough questions about his past and his vision for the future, one thing is certain: his confirmation hearing will not only shape his career but could also influence the regulatory landscape for cryptocurrencies and the patent system in the United States. The outcomes of these discussions could have far-reaching implications for investors, lawmakers, and the broader economy. As the Senate hearing approaches, all eyes will be on Lutnick to see how he navigates the complex interplay of commerce regulation and innovation in an increasingly digital world.